Hello, everyone. I hope you're keeping well. It's Tuesday, it's cold and grey, and yesterday was really nice. I don't know what's happened to the weather, but I'm going to try and keep this short and sweet and get to the point of why I've decided to record this video. I don't usually record videos, but there's so much to say that if I make you read it in the newsletter, you'll switch off. So, one of the reasons why you haven't heard from me for a bit is because I've been doing lots of different projects, but I've been doing a little bit of research into my own women's health and my menstrual cycle. So about November, my period started coming about every 40 to 45 days. Now, previously, they were coming 26 days, which was quite a lot because I had been a 31 day cycle growing up. So throughout my period, when I started when I was 10, my period would come once a month exactly. And then they moved to about 28 days. And then when I had my first COVID vaccination, they disappeared. My cycle went a bit crazy. And I still think that was down to the vaccine because they started to come back regular and then they went into 26 days. And then in November, they decided that they were coming every 40 to 45 days. But what was happening, they were lasting for 2 weeks. Now, I have always had a heavy period. And when I was in my 20s, it got to the point where I'd had enough. I'd come off the pill. I tried the pill. It hadn't worked for me. I'd gained weight and I was like, I really wanted to try a different method. So I went to Baldwin's and I was given some Agnus castus, which is, you can see this is Agnus castus. It's also called chaste vitex or chaste berry. So this is a tincture form, but you can get it. Some of you had it as water form when you did my case study. So I never realized why I was given this, but I was told to take it a week before my period. Now, back then, we all had phones, but nobody had a trackers and nobody really recorded their periods. Well, I didn't. So I would take it the day of my period and it helped. It helped with the flow. So, but after a while, I forgot about it and I stopped taking it. So when my period started to come every 40 to 45 days and they were lasting for 2 weeks, I happened to be in Baldwin's buying up product and things for work. And I actually bought a bottle. So that's the bottle I bought. I then also went next door to the health shop and I bought to look for some tablets because I felt tired, but I also felt like there was energy there. It wasn't like that drained, burnt out, tired that I felt in the past. So I thought, okay, let me just look into see if there's anything I can have because I really am. I'm 47, going to be 48. I know that I'm really heading into the menopause and we're getting closer to my menopause. Well, maybe not actually, because I'm still a bit away, but I'm heading in that direction. I am definitely perimenopausal. And I picked up these Dr. Vogel menopause support tablets. And there's different ones, but I picked up these ones are for tiredness. So I thought, okay, great. So when I checked the label, I noticed they were high in magnesium. Didn't think anything of them. I started taking them. Now, as many of you know, I'm also Catholic. So every Lent, I try and give up my sugar, try and reduce my sugar levels. And I kind of gets me started for the year. So I kind of like, okay, for a spiritual bit, get more into prayer, but I also want to work on my sugar levels. So I cut down on all of my usual treats, my croissants, my cake, my danishes, all the things, the desserts, all the things that I love. I kind of cut them down as well as crisps and any what I'd call bad snacking or tasty snacking, should we say. And so I continued. So around this time, I was in my kitchen and I have been in podcast heaven. And I'd seen this podcast by a lady called her name is Dr. Mindy Phelps. And I thought, the title didn't grab me for some reason. It was on the Rangan Chatterjee's podcast. And I was like, it didn't grab me, but I thought, you know what, let me turn it on and see what it was about. Well, ladies, it was a revelation because it was about fasting, and I now have the book, which I'm going to share later in my newsletter. It's called Fast Like a Girl. But the most important thing about this book, it teaches us about our menstrual cycles. the things that we should have learned in school about how we operate and how we differ from men in when we are approaching our health, lifestyle, the way we lose weight, all of these different things that we've never been taught. But as I said, more importantly, how our menstrual cycle affects us. And what I had realized is that I have had a progesterone shortage, and I've probably had it as long as I've had my period. There also a funny thing that happened around November is I started getting migraines. Now I thought it's cold season, COVID is rife again, and it's my body, my immune system fighting COVID because I had this really heavy head when I had COVID, especially the second time I had it. So I'm thinking, it's COVID trying to fight, but I'm there. I've got my essential oils. I'm getting my rest. It's not coming. But I now think those headaches were key to me having a progesterone shortage. So anyway, I thought, okay, I listened to the podcast and I've been desperate to get hold of this book, but I literally only got it last week because it's been sold out everywhere. And I really urge you to watch the podcast. I've shared a link in the newsletter because it's going to teach you, even if you don't have a menstrual cycle and you found that you've put on so much weight going after your menopause, while you're post-menopause, so after your menopause, what we call, so your menopause birthday, my brain's gone a bit of brain fog, or even if you are in perimenopause and you've put on weight, there is a reason. And what worked for us while we were in our 20s and 30s is no longer working. It's really funny that the one thing I did learn when I started on this menopause journey and I started your case studies is that wherever your period started, so if you had quite bad PMS, as you head towards your menopause anniversary, those symptoms can be higher because you're going to have a spike in estrogen as well and which you need to get rid of. So this newsletter is filled with all the things that I have learned in the past just under a year about our menopause journey, and I'm sharing it in a hope to help you. But if you have girls, even if you're not into fasting, I really recommend that you get a copy of this book because learning about your menstrual cycle is key to staying healthy, to staying fit, for our mental well-being and for everything. This is key, and how we work and what works best for us. So I'll be sharing more about this as the months go on, as I get into the book, because as I said, I've really just started reading it. But watch the podcast because it's filled with information that is going to be really helpful for you on your menopause journey. So I'm going to sign off there and I'm going to get back to the newsletter. Bye.